What's going on here then? Why are we not seeing this? Okay, it's better. How's everyone been doing today? How much boredom trading have you guys been doing today? How much have you lost?
I actually didn't wake up for the London session, but I went back and realized there are a few setups available for some of the currencies I trade.
Right, okay. What, like what? What are we looking at?
LID please $5.
Oh, that's alright.
I was looking at
Not the end of the world.
pound CAD.
Pound CAD. Okay. What do you want it to do? Do you want it to go up?
Yeah, because there was a sell-off last week. I was waiting for the right opportunity. Because yesterday was Monday. I expected a big move, but it was pretty dead yesterday.
Yeah.
So expected some moves today.
Okay.
Didn't end up playing out. I missed it.
A lot of people ask me who do I follow in terms of where do I get my news from. So I was saying set up like a Twitter feed is a good one. Really simple, free and easy, and add to it something like TweetDeck. So you've got a constant feed and add to it things like companies or news services like Reuters and Bloomberg. And who else? There are a number. Daily FX Team Live. Who else? CNBC, City AM. There's quite a few actually. Quite a few. Reuters Business as well. So they have Reuters and Reuters Business to be more specific. Bloomberg Economics. So that's also another one, not just Bloomberg. Then Forex Live is a good one that everybody tends to know. So that's important. Then there's Bloomberg Markets. So there are various types. Definitely something to have in place. So like this morning we were waiting for Governor Bailey for the Bank of England to speak, and he basically I bullet pointed what he was saying because that's what we got from the news feed. Yeah, it was interesting. He's not really too keen on wanting to use any form of quantitative easing or stimulus in terms of dropping interest rates below zero. So fundamentally speaking, what does that do? What does that mean? So let's take a good example, right? You've got the US, they're talking about printing more money. They're talking about further 3 trillion stimulus. How's that going to affect the dollar? Well, that's going to weaken the dollar, isn't it? Because they're going to flood the market with dollars and it's going to weaken the dollar. The stock markets will probably stay buoyant. Gold will probably go up and be bullish. And cryptocurrencies are having a bit of a run, and they'll probably stay bullish, to be fair. Can't see them dropping back down. Because all this extra money that's coming in, it's literally like roll up free money time, isn't it? So all this free extra dollars, all this free money that they're pumping into the US economy, they are going to take that money and they're going to put that into, well, diversify their portfolio. So put it into things like gold and crypto and maybe some stocks and shares, and makes sense, doesn't it? What would you do with it? It's like when someone's been given a handout. It's like, okay, either go down the shops and spend it, or, because that's what they're hoping, people will use this extra money to survive, and the poor will do that, but the middle class and the rich, they don't necessarily need that money. But if they get their hands on it, or if they have access to it, which they will, then they will put it into investing, right? Further free money to invest. It's like a free roll of the dice. So, going back to the UK economy, these guys are saying, well, the Bank of England governor is saying, we're not going to drop interest rates below 0%. If we do that, that's showing that we're weak, and we don't need to do that. That would be an absolute emergency last resort, and yeah, we don't want to be doing anything like that. I mean, it's all subject to change anyway. You know, 1 minute they say one thing, but based on that news, they're saying, okay, we can hold our own. We don't need to take drastic action to weaken our pound, and so the pound has been pushing up today, and it's been rallying. We're currently testing a resistance, trend line resistance. I'm interested in the pound for further upside if we can break this resistance. I have got to do some top-down analysis because people are asking me about fibs, so this will lead us onto the fibs. So in terms of how we place our fibs, some people get a bit stuck with doing it. They do it right, don't get me wrong, but then they do it one time and expect that the one time that they plot it, that's it, and you use those levels forever and ever and ever and ever kind of thing. But like markets change, ranges change, and so you need to replot them, especially when you're plotting them on like an hour or 4-hour chart. Kyle, afternoon, made 3%. Is that this week, over the last few days? That's good. Nice work. That's what we like to see. Smashing it. Drinks are on you then. So let's take the pound, let's use the pound as an example. Let's do a top-down analysis from the top to the bottom. Start with the daily. I won't go any higher for the moment. And just to give you a quick overview, I won't go over the top with it because we have the US markets opening in just over 10 minutes. So you can see on this range where we highlighted the divergence and the overextended level at 137 as being the fibs to the upside. So my starting point was here where we had the initial pullback from 134.83 down to 126.75. Now what have we got down here? We've got a 38.2 of the bigger picture, bigger range. So I've got fibs going to the downside. Yeah, no problem, because you want to see what sort of retracement we get. You know, the clue's in the name of this tool that we use, Fibonacci retracement. A retracement, what does that word mean? Well, it means, you know, you're looking for price to go up or down to retrace back to where it's originally come from. So price has gone somewhere, and we're looking for it then to go and retrace where it's come from, because that's how markets move. So what we need to do is slice up that range and simply identify, track, stalk, monitor the retracement. How high is it going to go? Is it going to retrace 38%? Is it going to retrace halfway, like 50%? 61.8? These levels are key. These levels are relevant and they work. And then my key level is 76.4. So that, you know, so wherever you're retracing or interested in price to go up to, that's where you have to plot your fibs, so that the starting point is at the bottom, in this case, of this move that I'm tracking, and I'm monitoring this price as we go up. And so when it extended to the 127 at 137 at $1.37, I wanted to short it back down to 134.83 for a decent 217 pip move. Nice range. Took all week from last Monday into yesterday, but that's what I wanted to see, a pullback. Now with the news that's come out today with the Bank of England, that may well provide the stimulus that we need, the momentum that we need to take this up to $1.40. You know, take all the pound pairs bullish once more, higher, based on the last week's price action. Is it going to get there anytime soon? Will it start making its move this afternoon, or will it take all week to do it? That remains to be seen. So my fibs are monitoring the upside. And if I just scrunch this up a little bit, I've got extended levels as well. My 161 and my 176. They are key numbers, and it's going to capture the price in like a fishing net, some sort of net up here, where at the fundamental institutional round number $1.40. It's a nice target. So we had to pull back to 135, midpoint, institutional level. And I felt that the banks would take it down to 135 for at least one more retest before then buying it back up to 140, 500 pip move. So that's my thinking. You know, if I was a bank, if I was investing my money if I'm a trader in an institution, these are the sort of moves that we want to be doing. Institutional trading involves moving the markets on a daily, weekly level, not scalping for 2 pips, but looking for these 500 to 1,000 pip plus movements, So when we trade gold, that's the sort of price action you expect to see. And so this may take a while to get up there, but who knows? If it breaks 136.60, then we'll start looking for that bullish bias to 140. So to the downside, what did I do to the downside? My fibs to the downside. So look what I've done here, right? So my 0% is at the last swing high, 137.04. Because what I'm looking for is to see if we break the previous structure at 134.83, if we break 135 area, we stabbed down and tested it, and it's rejected at the moment. But if it breaks it, then I want to know where it's going to go. And so we're going to do the whole Fibonacci retracement to the downside, looking at a bigger picture. Whether it's likely to do it, whether it's not likely to do it, is irrelevant for technical analysis and plotting my fibs. I put them on there, and they're there now. They're there for however long they need to be, until such time that these levels get breached to the upside or downside, whatever. But you notice here I've got fibs to the downside to monitor the potential for a big sell-off, and I've got the fibs to the upside to monitor the move up. I did have lower levels. I did have my 38 here, my 50, my 618, but I've done away with them because I don't need them anymore. They're irrelevant at the moment because I'm tracking the price to the upside when it broke the 100%. So that's how we use our fibs. Use them to the upside and the downside. We're not stagnant in terms of just placing them in one direction and that's it. So it wouldn't make any sense to do that. But hopefully that does make some sense to you. So the 38.2 is the one that was being toyed with down here, which is it's on a higher time frame. So we've got previous structure, so you can use it as an added confluence. You've got previous structure, you've got a double bottom kind of testing that area. So then we put a nice little trend line here to track it. Three points of contact, 3 tests, 1, 2, 3. Always look for 2. Any support and resistance, look for 2 tests of a certain level, like here, this double bottom. Okay, and that will draw your attention to what's happening. And then what you're ideally looking for is a 3rd test. So the 2 tests actually make it relevant down here. And then, we had this lovely move up, didn't we? Perfect move up. People thought it was going to break 135, 17 pips shy of that. Imagine how many buyers up there trying to get long for 135. And then they dropped it on them. Where did they drop it down to? Well, they dropped it down pretty sweetly to the trend line. So support and resistance, 3rd time testing. Now, did it break? No. Had it broken, we would have gone down here and we would have started looking for the 76.4 as a target. Fundamental round number 120, back down. But dollar is weak. So technical analysis is giving you targets, giving you an idea. Understand your technical analysis, understand your support and resistance that you use, your supply and demand zones, your fib extensions, your fib retracements, your trend lines, your EMAs, your exponential moving averages. That's what I use. They're the things that I use day in, day out. First and foremost are my fibs, and then everything else I kind of build around that. So hopefully that makes some sense. And you can play this video back because I'm recording it. We're live on YouTube at the moment as well, so we can, we can record that. Well, share the recording with you. So hopefully that makes sense. So let's see if we can get after some money today. Let's see if we can get some movement on this pound. Let's see if anything happens this afternoon. I've got a signal here at 136 potentially. This is a daily candle, so it's not. It's a daily, so it needs to close before we get confirmation. This is a daily, so that's what it looks like. Zoom in. But hopefully some of that explanation made some sense to you. And if what do you reckon, guys? Did you get it in percentage wise? Did any of that make sense? 20% of it make sense? 50% of it make sense? Tell me at least 70% of what I said made sense.
Yes, it may.
Run Squawk, News Squawk. Yeah, they're other services. Exactly, yeah. Just you've got to be plugged into what the news is saying and what is happening. around the world. You've got to know what's happening, because, you know, the amount of times that a trader will message me or post in a forum that I'm in, why is that doing that? And there's a key piece of news that's come out, and clearly they're not in the game. They're not a trader. They're not plugged in or clued up with the fundamentals. You know, I think they think that fundamentals is about being an analyst and looking at the numbers, like the jobless claims, and saying, right, well, it said 500,000, but it's coming at 495. What does that mean for gold or the stock markets? And it's like, you don't need to do that. You don't. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about be aware of what's happening in the world. You know, if a governor of the Bank of England is going to be speaking, you've got to pay attention to what he's going to say, especially if you're trying to trade the pound. If you're interested in trading a dollar-related pair and you're monitoring the Dixie, then that's good. But also fundamentally, you want to look, if Powell, the Fed chairman, is going to be speaking, you want to know what he's going to say that may affect gold or affect the dollar or affect what you're trading. That's common sense. This is coming back to what I always keep saying about common sense. A lot of it is just common sense. So, you know, you may not be the best technical analyst in the world. You might not understand fully your fibs, or, you know, but you might have some idea whether a market is bullish or bearish. And so then you're going to see, well, okay, are we going to see, you know, it's 135 bounce now to 136 so far, 100 pip slow move up on the pound. Is it going to get up higher? Are we going to break 137? Are we going to, you know, it's quite possible that we just may get up today to 137 to retest it. So piece it all together, bring it all together. And this is what I talk about. 80% should be about self-development. Making sure that you've got everything, you know, watertight. You have a strategy, a trade plan. You're consistent in how much you risk every day. If it's 0.5% or 1%, you do that repeatedly. And I set people a challenge. I said, try and do it every day consistently for the rest of this month, to show that you're consistent. Whatever it is you're doing, your daily routine, whatever it is, try and repeat the process on a daily basis. Life will get in the way, the kids will get in the way, you've got homeschooling, you've got other factors, but they're not priority. This is priority. Especially if you want to pay your bills or you want to have a better work-life balance. You have to work around these things, adapt. Have a routine, that will help. Have a routine, a daily routine, that will help for definite. If you don't have any of that, if you don't keep a journal as to what is going on, you know, what you've done, tracking your performance, if you don't have these things, then you shouldn't be trading. You know, don't go from a demo, trade one demo for 2 weeks, and think, well, I'm ready now. I'm going to be a professional trader and I'm going to be a millionaire by next year. And it's like, yeah, okay, let's use a little bit of common sense. Don't be so naive. Get your house in order, get your affairs in order, understand what you're doing, make sure you've got everything satisfactory. Ask yourself a simple question. If I was an investor, would I invest in myself to trade my funds? Yes or no? Simple closed question. It's a yes, no answer. Maybes. Would you give yourself the money? Forget, oh, I might be a bit scared, a bit nervous. Forget that. You know, that's obviously telling you that some things are not maybe quite there yet. Or maybe you've just got stage fright, which is understandable. You know. So be clear. It's common sense. A lot of it's common sense. We tend to get lost in the charts, mesmerised by price action, go chasing everything like a puppy. You just need a bit of common sense. Okay, so I'm watching the DAX, and on my other screen I've got gold. I've got the stock market, UK stock market, because of what's been going on with the UK. I've got the pound. I've got the Dow Jones because the US has just opened. Just looking, and on other screens I'm looking at pound pairs, euro pairs. I've got oil, I've got the NAS, I've got the S&P, I've got dollar yen, euro pound's correlated with the pound dollar. So if pound dollar's going up, you should see that euro dollar is bearish and it's going down because they're correlated. What else? Dollar CAD, dollar Swiss, because I've got dollar pairs, so dollar yen, dollar CAD, dollar Swiss all in line. And I've got an Aussie dollar as well, because people were asking me about Aussie dollar today. Is there anything you want me to look at and explore? we'll give it sort of 10 more minutes, and maybe 10 minutes, and then we'll end the session. Keep it nice and short and sweet so you can digest the information. Yeah. If not, I'm going to focus on this pound dollar. It's making a little move up. Pound dollar's making a move. Testing that trend line. I want it to break the trend line. Then we want to tuck in a stop loss maybe below the trend line. If it rejects off the trend line and drops back down, we'll watch and monitor the drop back. Sorry, say that again.
Could you please look at FPX for
SPX.
S&P?
Yeah, the S&P. Yeah, and pound Swiss as well. S&P. Yeah, okay. Let's swap the S&P. Let's swap the DAX for the S&P. Let's pull that up. So US 500. And while that's loading, I'll just have a quick look. So my 4-hour time frame for the pound, we're at 136, fundamental round number, nice round number. We're also at a trend line, so there's resistance there. So we want to see how it reacts off that level. We want to see ideally a break above. Let's drill down to the 1 hour on the pound quickly. 1 hour on the pound. And what I want to see happen here is we've got some bullish momentum, as you can see. It's quite nice, but we're sideways. So we were waiting for the US Open to maybe provide a bit of an oomph, bit of momentum, and then maybe we can use our momentum strategy to take this up to at least that 76.4. So momentum strategy with our 764 strategy to buy up to to 136.44, so 136.40 to 50 area, because it likes a 50 number as well. So about another 50 pip move up. So we had an initial 50 pip move and it's stalled, so we might get another 50 pips. What's the average true range on the pound? About 100 to 120 pips. So there's scope for it to go up. We're at 61.8 because it bounced off there. Does that make sense? So keep an eye on the pound for a bullish upside. See if the US are going to take it up as well. So European session, they took it up because of the Governor Bailey news. So fundamentals are at work here. I don't expect the US to then come in and take it back down again, but it's trading, right? Anything can happen. So just got to keep an eye on it. There's some resistance here. See if it can break the trend line, break the 618, then we can take it up for 40, 50 pips up here and get a nice little trade on. It's not too dramatic. Just tuck your stop in somewhere down here with all this price action. That's quite straightforward. For a Tuesday where there's no news apart from this news and no real volume. Missing out on Trump's mad tweets. Freedom of speech, come on. It's good when he goes on a little rant. It makes the markets move. Right, let's have a look. S&P. What do you want to see S&P? I just think that with the stock markets, they tend to, at the moment, dump a little bit at the open and then maybe find some support and get bought back up later. So right now we're having a bit of a nosedive on the stock markets just at the open. So 3,800 level, you can see it's consolidating sideways. So until it decides to make a move, there's no trade for me here. It's dead. It's sideways. It's consolidating. So now we've opened with the US Open. See what it wants to do. It's bullish overall. We are seeing some divergence. What would you like it to do? Yeah, I'd like it to drop so then we can buy it back up. So maybe short it back down. So yeah, Dow's really moving. The Dow's fallen over, but then the Nasdaq's spiking up, rallying. S&P and maybe the S&P and the Dow might move together. Yeah, don't really have anything on there. Right, okay, let's have a look. What else have we got going on? Yeah, sorry, there's not really much. What are your thoughts on it? Send me a message to my Telegram. Telegram is ALX at, let me write it down in the chat of this Zoom chat. So at ALX underscore TYW underscore, so Alex, abbreviated ALX, Alex underscore TYW stands for Trade Your Way. You can go on my website, tradeyourway.co.uk, and you can find all the links to social media. Talk to me through there, maybe, connect. But Telegram's is your best bet, because I'm always on there. So yeah, we're getting a nice sell-off on the Dow. We're not getting any other movement really. It's all a bit flat. It's weird because the Nasdaq's rallying and it's retesting the previous high, and the Dow's selling off. So I like to see all the stock markets move in line with each other. I don't want to see European markets go down and see the stock markets, US stock markets go up, for example. I don't like to see US stock markets go up with the tech industry going up, Nasdaq's going up, and then see the Dow going down. That when it's all out of sync like that, I would just sit on my hands and wait. I like everything to be moving together. So they all, one common goal, one common move, it's all good. Because otherwise these are just corrective moves and you end up going in the direction of one of these markets and then everything decides to then fall in sync, in line, and whichever way that is, it's either in your favour or against you, and you think, so yeah, it's a lovely move on 100 pips so far on the Dow to the downside. But I wouldn't trade any of that unless you've got at least 10k, 20k, 50k. If you've got 2k, 1k, 500 quid, forget it. Anything else? Any other questions? Right, we're trying to, let's have a look at this. Let's have a look on the 15-minute time frame on the pound dollar. If there's no more questions, what other questions were there? Pound Swiss. I think pound Swiss. Trust you, Craig, to pick one that I haven't got. Pound Swiss is going to go with the pound pairs. So look at pound CAD, pound yen, pound Aussie, pound New Zealand, pound dollar, pound. Pound with anything. Look at them all. They'll move together. Yeah, I don't expect the pound Swiss to go and do its own thing. So, yeah, there you go. What do you think the pound Swiss is doing? Does it look quite bullish? I haven't looked. Let's pull it up. Actually, pound Swiss might even lead the way if it decides it wants to go up. I've taken it on the 15-minute chart on my pound dollar. It's a pound dollar cable chart. Running out of time. No, we're all right at the moment. Let me just change this to pound Swiss. Pound Swiss. There we go. Pound Swiss is at 12,100. Okay, good. And it's up 0.5% on a day, so it's bullish. So on my 15-minute chart on the pound dollar, we've got a 764 at 135.92. So I didn't jump on that first initial move up. I wasn't really paying attention, to be fair. So when it started moving up, I thought, okay, we'll let it do its thing, and if we can get an entry on pullbacks, then we might decide to take pound long today. But it needs to break. It needs to give me a bit more than what it's actually done so far. I haven't actually looked at the pound Swiss for some time, maybe some weeks now. So all my fib levels are probably old and need a little bit of updating. My white candles on my high time frame suggest that the volume is not there. There's not enough volume at the moment on a high time frame to be making big decent moves. So it's all about intraday levels, intraday time frames, which are, I'd say, maybe like a 5 minute, 15 minute, 30 minute, 1 hour, 4 hour. Maybe start with your 4 hour and your 1 hour, and see what's going on a smaller time frame. It's actually a pretty decent chart, to be fair, Craig. Yeah, it is at resistance, isn't it? It's a decent chart. I can see why you're looking at it. 12,100. testing it 1, 2, 3, 4 times roughly, but at least 3 times. That was a weekend move, but yeah, testing this area quite a few times on the higher time frame, so it is at resistance for sure. Yeah, it's coming off there now. Yeah, that's pretty decent. We're starting to see some divergence on the daily as well, and on the 4 hour. See, Craig, you know what you're doing. It's all good. You're looking at something worth looking at for definite. It's at an interesting area, interesting level. It's worth just stalking the price and see what it wants to do. Because it's a daily chart, you've got to allow this daily candle to finish its move. It's a bullish move right now, and it's come up to retest the previous high. Third time's a charm, so it's going to test this area. We talked about it just before. I was talking about the trend line or any support and resistance testing multiple times. So it works quite sweetly, really. When an area is tested, say three times or more, and it fails to break it, it reinforces the support or the resistance. In this case, the resistance, it makes it quite strong resistance. If it rejects it 3-4 times, if it hits an area twice, then you have like a double top or double bottom, and so you may get a reaction which we've seen here. Yeah, so it's worth stalking and monitoring and just see what it wants to do. And obviously we're going to watch the pound pairs, because pound CAD's breaking, trying to make a move up. We've had some decent momentum with the Aussie as well, pound Aussie, bullish momentum. It's hard to buy here, but yeah. Oh, Anna, hello Anna, Happy New Year, Anna Banana. You've been busy programming, and no, what were you doing? You were working on something, weren't you? Okay, cool. Well, it's lovely to see you, and yeah, I've recorded this session. I'm going to keep it short and sweet, really, like 30-40 minute sessions, so you can digest the information. Yeah, so any more questions before we go? Well, we'll give it 5 minutes as of now. So if there's any questions on anything at all, now's your time to ask. And as I say, I've got my Telegram username is there, so you can always ping me a message after this if you want to talk about anything, or if you watch this video again, and if anything springs to mind, or even now you've got some questions, maybe send me a message. 2 things. Telegram, the good thing about Telegram, you can do voice message and you can talk to me, so in 2 minutes you can explain the whole universe, because what we try and avoid is for people to write an essay. And don't be shy. So yeah, voice messages are always valued and appreciated, because you can appreciate I get a fair amount of messages from people, and spending 40 minutes going through these messages, I will scan through some of these messages, and sometimes get distracted and won't even finish the message reading it, because it's just so much there, and it's just like, oh, okay, so not to be rude, but just it's time is valuable, isn't it, in this world? More valuable than money. And if you didn't know that, well, you might learn it when you get to about 70 years old. A bit too little too late then, perhaps. Right, so yeah, any more questions? Anything else? David C. I thought he was gonna send me something. Craig.
Sorry, I was trying to mute my speaker because I didn't want the audio feedback. I had just more of a quick question. You started in you said in options, right? This when you kind of started before you got into more
Yeah, S&P 500 options, puts and calls. Done a bit of that. Done everything though. I have traded all sorts. I haven't, yeah, been exclusive to one thing. So maybe spend 2 or 3 years trading different elements. Forex was about 3 years.
Yeah, so you find your success overall with Forex? Kind of just ran with it, or
Uh,
I've kind of heard that options are kind of also uh, similar to this in the trading style of being able to analyze and pull out your analysis on the chart and kind of do the same kind of same setup. I mean, have limited time on whatever market you're trading.
what I found was with trading anything, when you're doing your technical analysis, so you're using your levels of support and resistance. So I explained I use EMAs, so we use an 8 period, a 21 period, a 50 and a 200. So I use 4 to help me gauge the trend. So like you can see with the Swiss here, it's got a lovely, you know, the EMAs are just cushioning this move up. It's really nice. As with any forms of support and resistance, you can apply them to anything. They're working really well, for example, on crypto, because crypto is a fairly new instrument to trade, but it's very fib friendly. It respects somewhat support and resistance in every form. You know, we called the short down to 30,000 from 42. Explained it in Sunday night's video analysis, which I should put out there. So it doesn't matter what you trade, doesn't matter what you trade at all. When you're doing your technicals and you know, plug yourself into the fundamentals to see if there's anything that's likely to affect what it is you're trading. That's about it, really. There isn't anything else that you need to do to complicate it. It's not overcomplicated at all. So I've traded everything, and everything's pretty much the same in terms of how it moves. Some things are more volatile, so some things will move far greater. So we have we have that to consider. So you have to consider the average true range of something. So understand. So this is what I always say to you: pick 1 or 2 pairs, 3 instruments, whatever. It's 1, 2, 3 instruments. Learn them. Learn how they move. Understand it. Pound likes to 50. It moves about 100, 120 pips on a good day. On average, it's very fickle. So instead of going from point A to B, it will go around the houses and mess you around first. But then it will get there. So you have to kind of stick with it. Whereas other pairs are probably a lot more smoother, like a lot more smooth with Aussie dollar. That's a good one for anyone starting out. Aussie dollar. It's very mild mannered, quite nice. Right, we're done. Thanks everyone for joining us, and hopefully you gained a little bit of an insight into what we did. And oh dear, get that off, and how we trade.